Welcome to the session. I'm sitting with two legends, one a writer and the other an illustrator. Both of them share a wonderful bond, a kind of camaraderie that is basically needed when you are a writer of children's writing and children's literature. So here we have Khyrunnisa ma'am, who is also my teacher, a renowned author of children's fiction and other books, and she's an award-winning author. She's above everything a great human being. This is something that I stress upon whenever I introduce her. She often tells me to stop in between because she feels that I can go on and on about her. You must have imagined that this is actually a fan girl, or what you can call a fan student, who was sitting in her class listening to her extremely effective lectures with a tint of humor. She's an academic, she's a humorous academician. We can almost call it as an oxymoron. You don't find humorous academicians any longer. Everybody believes that they are living in a castle and so on. So she is somebody who is so down to earth and extremely special to me. And she has to her credit 16 books, of which you have Butterfingers also features in that category. And sometimes she condescends for writing for adults, and she has come up with 2 books, both of them bestsellers, and her 2 works have also been translated to Malayalam. So welcome ma'am to the session. She's Trivandrum's own darling writer, okay? So she must be an international and national figure, but people of Trivandrum always consider to be our own kunya, that feeling is there. So welcome ma'am.
Thank you very much.
See, I stopped, there was a constraint, yes. And here we have with us Mr. Abhijieet Kini, who is an illustrator, he's an animator, he's into designing, graphic designing and all kinds of things. And while I was preparing his bio, I was thinking he stands tall in the field of illustrators, which is literally, metaphorically, figuratively true, because he's so tall. I was actually telling him, how do you manage to be so tall? And he told me that it's all in the genes. So now you can make out that you have a writer and an illustrator who share that extremely incredible bond, which is actually needed. And this is one of the reasons why Butterfingers became so popular, because he breathed life into the character. Because when she was writing, she must have had an image of Butterfingers. She modeled it on her son. I mean, she did not model it on her son, but she has named him Amar. And she must have had certain features associated with Amar. And Abhijieet, true to his words, has made it truly special. So my welcome, Abhijieet Kini, to our place.
Thank you.
So my first query is to Abhijieet Kini, because when when a writer is writing a story and you have been selected as an illustrator, naturally you'll be under pressure as to will you be able to keep up with the expectations of the writer. What kind of preparations do you make while sitting down to draw pictures for Butterfingers?
So the first time when Butterfingers script came to me, I didn't know Khyru, I call her, since we are very close, but I didn't know Khyru personally. So it was just a draft illustration that I'd sent across, hoping that it'll be approved. And it so happened that barring a few things, I think we were pretty much on the right track. But yes, many times if we know the writer, we usually have a quick conversation. What do you have in mind? Is there any particular nuance you want highlighted? Is there a physical form that you want to go with, etc., etc.? So this one we didn't, and actually it turned out fine. And it was only after the first story was published in Tinkle that we actually got to know each other, and we've come a very long way since. But the process usually is the writer and artist have some sort of a brainstorming or a debrief session wherein it's exchanged that this is what I have in mind. I didn't even know it's based on Amar, right? Only the name. But of course, there's a little bit of Butterfingers in all of us. That is the process we follow. And it's only later now, the later books, the later stories, we've had a lot of conversations many times, saying whatever you had in mind. She'll tell me a quick excerpt, and then I'm able to convert that into visuals. So that's how it pretty much works.
Okay, so that must have been an incredible journey, right?
Oh yeah, super fun. As we know, her brand of humor is something else, right? And for me as an illustrator, it makes my life that much more easy and fun. Drawing all those expressions and those characters. I really like drawing the teachers in the in the Butterfinger stories. Because I think there's a little bit of that in me, saying that I want to remember my school teachers. You know, we all have had these school teachers with peculiar features, with peculiar behavior patterns. So I get to remember that, show that in the characters, and it kind of works out that way. So it's fantastic.
I remember reading somewhere that you're scared of certain things. I was very curious to find out what they are. He's scared of things that I'm also scared of: geometry, mathematics, and all that. You know, I felt so happy that all humorous people has got this aversion for mathematics.
I never understood why we studied trigonometry in school. Seriously, what do you do with trigonometry? Exactly.
There was an Instagram post yesterday saying that yet another day has passed and I've never used a plus b the whole square quotation in my
There
life.
you go.
I mean, no offense to mathematics teachers who are out here. By the way, Khyru ma'am is actually a mathematics expert, you know. That is why you cannot predict her, you know. She's into mathematics, she's into sports, she's into literature, she's everything rolled into one, okay?
This is going to come up in the next script, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, ma'am, you know, when you started writing Butterfingers, you must have a particular image of Amar. And did he do justice to it? You know, when you were writing, you must have thought of Amar with a hair like this, you know, something like that. So, did he come up with that?
So good morning, everybody. I'm so glad that all of you have turned up to listen to us. And please forgive my voice. I have got a bad throat. It's not always like this, my voice. Sometimes it is much worse. But I have to tell you that Abhijieet and I have been friends for a long time. And I look up to him, literally. And he, I hope you're not looking down to me, but when we stand together, we make a very funny pair because I come up to his waist or something. And I'm glad that Kaikasi is here to lend some balance. Because she's taller than me, but shorter than Abhijieet. And thank you, Abhijieet, for accepting Mathrubhumi's invitation to come here. This is the first time we are sharing a stage. We have been together from 2006 and this is 2025. We have met, we have talked a lot, but to share a stage for a session is happening the first time. And we did have one session which was in Hyderabad last year when the adventure for the world of Butterfingers had its release at the Hyderabad Comic Con. But that was a very brief thing, and you know how these launches are. We held the book together, we showed the book, and we spoke a few things, and we patted each other on the back and left. So now coming to what exactly is with Butterfingers and whether it is true to my image, yes, because I always thought that the whole story would be sent to the illustrator. Later I realized that was not how it is. It is only the script that is sent to the illustrator. So Luis Fernandez, he was the associate editor of Tinkle at that time. The main person was, of course, Uncle Pai. You all know him, Anant Pai. And he told me he liked Butterfingers because I had written Butterfingers' story. The first story was written in 1996, before many of you were born or even thought of. And then he wanted a regular character, and that's how I brought back Butterfingers. And he said, look, there is a very promising young guy. He didn't tell me about his height. A very promising...
They said that? Wow.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
I'm happy.
It's a very promising young guy. I've asked him to draw Butterfingers. Just look at it and let me know if he is like the Butterfingers you have in mind. So my Butterfingers is mischievous, he's untidy, he's bright, he's got a lot of these qualities. And I wanted all that to be expressed when somebody sketches it. And he sent me this picture, and I said, wow, this is exactly what I had in mind. There was Butterfingers wearing very dirty clothes and hair all over the place, a nice smile on his face, half mischievous, half, meaning I'm going to do so many other things. But his hair was brown. And I said, no, I don't want my hero's hair to be brown. And I want a proper Indian boy with black hair. When he grows up, he may lose his hair, that's another thing. But at 13, which is the age of Butterfingers, I wanted him to have black hair. So Louis said, okay. Louis was the intermediary. We hadn't really talked to each other. No, we didn't talk to each other. Not that we were not on speaking terms, but we were never introduced to each other. And so Louis he sent the request to Abhijieet. Abhijieet promptly changed the color of the hair, and then I said, that's fine. And it came out beautifully. And Abhijieet, I have to say this, I hope you don't get annoyed with me. His creation is angry mousy. Angry mousy. Now you might say an angry Abhijieet.
Yeah, well.
Yes. You don't know what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is angry mousy is very nice. I like the character and so on. But somehow I think you are for Butterfingers.
Oh, thank
That
you
is
so
what
much.
I
Thank
want to
you.
tell
Thank you so much.
Because you bring him to life, you bring the characters to life. I'm so glad Butterfingers is in your hands and you have not allowed him to slip through your fingers.
Thankfully, yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's a lovely thing to hear. Thank you. And I think it goes both ways, right? I mean, a good output in comics or illustration is it depends on good writing and something which is well etched, something that you understand very well when you read through it. And I think she has obviously been doing that, but I think it doesn't leave any window of doubt for me when I'm drawing these stories, because each action, each reaction, I'm sure many of you all have, almost all of you all have read the Butterfinger stories, I hope. The jokes are spontaneous, they're situational, and it makes my life easy when it comes to showing those actions and reactions. And by now, we know the characters as second nature, right? It's only some years ago that I actually saw and met the real life characters based on whom these characters made. And it was very surreal for me. Oh, you are Arjun. Oh, you are Eric. But yeah, it makes my life easy. So thank you, Khairu. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And this, the image of, Amar, he's not that round-faced typical boy. He has a very asymmetrical face, chaotic face, and you've said that, chaos is what he always gets into. And you look at Amar and you know that he means, all kinds of things that you are...
See, I think chaos is a lovely concept to experiment with. Not just with the stories, but even the visuals. So, chaotic visuals. That's why I was always a fan of renegade animation. I'm sure some animators would be anyone here into animation? One boy here, I'm very happy. Our next generation of animators is here. Series like South Park, Beavis and Butthead, these were not very polished animations, but amazing results, right? And chaos is something that, I like the term that you use. Chaos is the basis of a lot of these exaggerated characters, which makes it more fun, right? Because the normal squares and circles are boring. The moment you add some sort of exaggeration, it becomes more memorable.
See, talking about Butterfingers, it's a fun ride, it's a roller coaster ride, it's humorous. And you have a writer who is known for her humor. Since I've sat in her classes, even when she was teaching a very dark book like Heart of Darkness, she actually breathed humor into it. Now, she didn't make it funny. Joseph Conrad would forgive her because she did explain everything, but the humorous part was always there. That strain always runs through her classes. We have lots of your students here. So
I call them my victims, all right? She is a prime victim.
and we call ourselves the honored and privileged ones, the chosen few. I always say there is only two categories of people in the world, one who are taught by Khyrunnisa ma'am and some who are not taught by Khyrunnisa ma'am. Yes, all those claps are for the students. Yes, so she is a very humorous person. She has that flair for humor, which is very special. And here you are an illustrator who is also very humorous. And in a world which is actually giving a second place to humor these days, people believe that everything has to be so serious, and especially in a times when everything is so bleak and dark and troublesome. They are actually the champions of humor, and they breathe humor into everything that they say. So if you're familiar with her Tongue in Cheek, you find that it's actually a book that talks about how every day you have humor happening in your house. So that is how I look at that. So anyway, when you have a humorous person and you have a humorous illustrator, especially in a world, see, I must tell you this. The other day, somebody sent me a video of two kids talking to each other in a tele-serial. They are hardly 6 or 7, and one of them is actually telling the other person, let us hack the phones of our parents, then there will be an OTP, and you have to copy down the OTP, and then we'll take money from our father, from the bank. And I was just wondering, at that age, me and my brother used to share a chocolate, and we used to eat parts of it so that it will be even and equally divided. And that is the kind of change that has happened over the kind of things that children do and children read and children react to. So in these times, how do you manage to have humor which is very fresh, which appeals to every kind of readers? And I would like to hear from Abhijieet Kini also. How do you manage to capture the attention of readers who are so hooked up to their screens?
I know lots of things are changing, but I have kept Amar unchanged. When I wrote about him first in 1996, at that time the story, his real name was Mukesh, and when Tinkle asked me to create a regular character in 2006, when Abhijit also came into the picture, that is when we changed the name to Amar, my son's name, and then his friends' names are all the names of Amar's friends. So I decided, he's 13, in class 8, I wanted to keep him there. So subsequently, we have, there are 8 books in the Puffin series, and in Tinkle we have so many, right? It ran from 2006 to 2015, and simultaneously there were 3 novels while this series was also going on. It became hugely popular. But though things were changing, I kept certain things the same. The kind of boy he is, the kind of mischief that he can get into, I kept it at that innocent level. That's why I did not make him grow. If I made him grow with every year, then there are other problems. You know the kind of problems. I don't want to spell it out. So in Amar's class, there is one girl. Later, there are 2 more girls. There are some girls there. But it doesn't, I mean, there is nothing like a romantic angle. I did not go into what is called the young world, those themes and so on. But it is just ordinary humor. At the same time, I'm conscious of the fact that there are these changes. So the only way in which I bring in these changes is to bring in gadgets occasionally into the stories, but I never go into the darker side of it. And I realize that children like these kind of stories too, because not everybody, not every child is like this. Not every child wants to hack his parents' phone. Not every child wants to steal money from the parents. I hope these are just aberrations. And I like to believe, maybe I'm foolish, that children continue to be innocent up to a particular age, and later also there is an innocence to them even as you grow older, and that can be retained. So I do not want to compromise on that and the way I was depicting humor, and that is why I have these kind of the scrapes. They're always in trouble. They're always going to the principal's room. That's why he likes the principal so much. It's one of the favorite characters. They are always driving teachers up the wall, but they are also very well-intentioned. So I have to strike that balance. Well-intentioned, leading to disaster, then leading to a kind of solution. That's basically the formula of the stories, if you can, if you have read them. But every time the story is different. But the formula is the same. So that is how I do it. Now you can tell.
No, I mean, I take the same, once it comes to me, I understand exactly where we are. And I don't need to put in any excess, like she said, excess complications in those gadgets or excess complications in those scenarios. We keep it simple. And we make sure that the joke talks on its own, right? You don't need excess Easter eggs. And the moment you start putting those excesses, then those extra questions would come up. Okay, if he has a laptop open in public and he leaves it there, what will happen? No, we just don't go there. There are evils in the world. We are not living in the best of times today. But also I see that humor, like what we do, write and draw, needs to be a little escape for people so that they feel better, that there's still hope and there's still some fun in reading. Otherwise, you just, open your Twitter feed. Well, we don't talk about Twitter anymore, it's X. You open your X feed, you just feel what even is happening in the world today. But you switch to a comic book, especially like Butterfingers, there's relief. The visuals are funny, the story is funny, and it just reminds you of your good old school days and teachers. There are some relatives also in it, which always adds to your innocent reality. That's the word she's using, and I actually agree with that. Innocent reality, the good part of your growing up years, which you would treasure. Like I said, we always have school memories. Maybe that kind of harks back to that. And my effort is doing that exactly. Taking those written bits, adding my own, and just keeping it in that same channel. And not because what other comics I make socio-political satires, I make adult comics as well. That's a completely different art style also that I use. Means I use there is a lot of violence there, but that's a completely different audience. I think the aim here is to understand your audience and to know the audience. It's not just for kids. Even adults should read comics, because I come across a lot of people say, oh, comics I used to read when I was in school. Now I've grown up. Really? What stops you? What stops you from enjoying a sequentially drawn story? That would be a nice flashback for you to your school days, college days, childhood days, thinking about all those funny incidents that happened in school. Which is why it makes my job easy, because I connect it to what happened with me in school. The principal is my favorite, that's for sure.
So when you write these comics, the children expect. It's been around for a long time now. So from 2006 to 2015, it has been a regular feature of Tinkle. Even now people ask me, why did you stop? That is, I think, because Tinkle wanted only their in-house writers to write. There came a time when they did not want invited writers to write. So that is how, very sadly, Butterfingers stopped there. But Butterfingers had a second innings with Penguin. And 8 books have come. The 9th is
It's in the works.
Is cooking. It's happening.
We have marinated it with butter.
Yes. So we are doing that. And once there is a series, there are expectations. And children don't want a change in the nature of the character or in certain specifics. So what you have to do is, within that, you have to bring unique, different kinds of stories. And that is what I try to do. And they're all very realistic. I mean, we just said it's kind of idealistic, but they're also realistic because children say that they can relate to them. They are into mischief, in class, outside class. They're all sports, many of them are sports based. So I'm so happy that I have struck a chord with them. And in the comics, it's all thanks to him. He brought them to life. I'm so grateful. Because the first story, the 1996 story, was not sketched by Abhijieet. Were you born then? Sorry.
I haven't seen it, by the way.
You haven't seen it.
I
I'll
haven't
show
seen
you. It was drawn by Archana
Ambedkar.
Ambedkar, who is Vairkar's daughter, who used to draw Shikari Shambhu.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Prabha Nair, Prabha is here. She was the script writer
Prabha,
for
please
that.
raise your hand.
Prabha,
Hi, Prabha.
please show your, yes. That's Prabha Nair.
That's Prabha.
She was assistant editor or associate editor of Tinkle at that time, and she was the one who scripted the story. And that was how it was. But in 2006, when Tinkle brought back, or rather they asked me for a character and Butterfingers came back, then Abhijieet came into the picture. And he remains in the picture even with Penguin. And different script writers have scripted. But the writer and the illustrator are the same. Script writers may come and script writers may go, but hopefully we'll go on. I don't know how to define forever, at least for some time. And the script writer has come back because our comic was scripted by Prabha Nair. That is the first script writer. And I also want to tell you that when Puffin started, it was novels. So the first book did not have illustrations. I mean, it had. They were quite cute illustrations, small illustrations by one Debanjan, yes. Anyway, he did quite a good job, but and the second one was also done by, that was an in-house picture. Third was also in-house. Fourth, it was a collection of short stories. So my editor said, let's have an illustration for every story, and let's have the cover design by Abhijieet. She asked me, who do you want to illustrate? How can you ask such a question? There's only one person I want for Butterfingers, and that is Abhijieet. I said, you have to bring him. He has to be the one. And she said, okay, in that case, for a kind of similarity, let us change the covers of the first book, second book, third book still remains the same. You're not protesting? Okay. And
I'm quite calm that way.
yeah. But that's quite nice. So we can just take a look at the covers. Can you show the covers, please?
I'll sit with Kaikasi.
No, yeah.
Either way, I'm covering something or the other.
Oh, sorry. This is my first book actually. It is lost in Ooty, and the book is now out of print, so it's lost. This is how the cover was when it came out in 2010. How's that, Butterfingers? And this is what Abhijieet made of it in 2015, right?
Yeah.
Do you see the difference? There's so much action. There's action there too, but this is buzzing with action. This is the collection of short stories, Misadventures of Butterfingers.
This one.
You know what he's up to? Yes.
This book brought me for the first time to Trivandrum in 2016.
Yes.
As Kaikasi
yes.
reminded me.
At the launch, you received the book from Shashi
Dr.
Tharoor.
Yeah, Dr. Tharoor.
Yeah. He did not have to hold up too high. I think he's quite tall.
We were very
Yeah,
picky
this is a
about
very
the monkey. Both of
popular
us.
cover because they generally ask me which part of the story would you like on the cover, and that is chosen and given to him, and I thought this will make a good cover. But after it came out, there were many people who wanted to be the monkey. I wanted to be on the cover this way. My husband said, no, that's me, I'm the original one. And Abhijieet also wanted, everybody wanted to be the monkey.
It's
Anyway,
always
the
the
monkey
monkey.
is a very nice monkey. Yes. This is, of course, it's Butterfingers. Oh, this is, look at the art of this. Very different, right? This is for my Lizard of Oz. Krishna Bala Shenoy. Beautiful. One of my most favorite covers because those stories are different.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you needed something subtle like this, and I really love this. You can see different. Not coming?
This is what I mean by tone of the stories. The tone of the stories would always depict
This
what
is
kind of
Priya
style there
Kurian,
was.
yeah. So a lot of illustrators I have worked with. This is Priya Kurian, again, very eye-catching. This is Meenakshi Iyer, crocodile who ate butter chicken for breakfast and other stories. This is Baby and Dub Dub. Aryama Somyaji, that's her name. Yeah. Yes. We have Abhijieet back here. Smash it, Butterfingers. This is not a girl, it's a boy. Arjun. He has long hair. And in fact, we had to revise his features several times, right?
See, this girl boy thing we've had in the past as well, with Kiran. Remember?
Yes, I have to talk
so
about
this
that.
girl
Yeah,
boy
you
thing
tell
is
me.
always there in a Butterfingers. This confusion has always been there. Anyway, we'll talk about it.
Okay. This is a collection of my tinkle stories. Oops, it's Butterfingers. And how many stories are there? 10, 15 or something? Yeah.
Sorry?
15 stories, right?
Yeah. This was the tinkle look of Butterfingers.
Tinkle brought this
It's
out,
more
a collection of
exaggerated,
stories.
yeah.
Yes. These are all the characters at the back. Where is the principal?
But he looks smarter now. He looks
Yes,
smarter now. I like the current look of the principal.
This is the principal. Those are the other characters. This is, of course, Amar, looking very cheeky and very happy. Yes. This is, again, the principal at the wrong end.
Always.
Yes. Butterfingers goes bonkers, which is all the time.
Again the principal.
Yes. Again, the principal. A very favorite target.
How is he
that's-
passing his classes? Doesn't the
Yeah.
principal get really offended and say, I'm
No,
just...
I'm trying to. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much. So, you can talk about that Kiran episode.
So what happened was the first script that came to me, the 2006 one, where I didn't know anything. I mean, I hadn't met her, I hadn't heard what the stories are about. So the script comes to me after the character has been approved, saying it was, I think, Butterfingers and the Diwali adventure.
Yeah, that was the first.
And I didn't know it's a boys' school, right, that he's in. And he has
That
a
was
best
the
friend.
sad part of it. I wish they had sent you the whole story. They didn't do
matlab,
that.
it's
Yeah.
a very funny, I think it was meant to happen so that we can talk about it today, 20 years later. Best friend, Kiran. Without knowing who Kiran is, I thought Kiran is his girl classmate, right?
He was going to say girlfriend, but
I
he
stopped myself there. So I drew a girl, right? A cute girl wearing a pinafore, and these guys are wearing their uniform. Story goes for approvals. Final pages go. So we actually had to send like big art sheets that time. Today, most of it is digital. So I sent the pages. 4 days later, I get a very frantic email. That's the first mail I think we shared. We exchanged. Saying, oh my God, there's been a mistake. Kiran is a boy. I'm like, how was I supposed to know it? Shit, now what? And
But
then
you found it very easy,
no.
right?
So that was the quickest makeover ever. So I had to cut other pieces of paper, stick on it, and just redraw the face to make it boy. The pinafore had to quickly change into a trouser and a tie, and so I still call it the quickest transformation from a female Kiran to a male Kiran, which happened.
Nobody knew that gender change could be so quick.
So Kiran was always that example. Even now, when Kiran appears in a story, always remember that guy went through a lot in the first issue. And then we have Arjun, who has long hair.
Has
So he's
long
legit.
hair, he wears a earring.
He's a punk. He's a complete
Yeah.
punk. And I love drawing his panels. By the way, quick snippet, in the next book, you're going to see him playing the guitar.
Sneak peek.
Yes, see, I wanted to add something to what you've been saying. The theme of this MBIFL 2025 was change, the currents of change. So you have this Butterfingers, our Amar in standard 8A, you have the same principal, he's not retiring, he's not even being transferred, you have the same set of friends at a time when, you always believe that friends always change during their teenage. Amar even has the same haircut, people with, parents with teenage sons will know that they will never have the same haircut for 2 days. So here he is stuck forever, just like, as innocent as ever. So, she's personally somebody who believes that children are inherently innocent. You know? So, what changes do you want to make to Amar and his gang? And will he approve of it? You know, I am very curious to know.
I really don't want to make any changes. As I just spoke, I want to keep him like that. The only changes that I want to bring would be in bringing in some modern, say maybe the influence of AI, you know, those kind of things that are there. But it will have to be in the Butterfinger style, because I cannot make compromises there. I don't think my readers will like it or allow it, or I would like to do it. I wouldn't want to do that, because I'm kind of, Butterfingers lives in my head. And when I look around me, I've written a lot of stories which are inspired by real life incidents, very small incidents maybe, and it's not easy, but that one incident is the trigger for a whole sequence of events which ultimately become the story. So those stories, my challenge comes in writing those kind of different types of stories without bringing in the dark side of life. Maybe, you know, there are lots of people who are writing about the dark side of life. I think one should write to your strength. I don't want to write something because somebody is telling me, write like that. You write about, there's a student who told me you have to write a ghost story. I said, if I write a ghost story in Butterfingers, it will be my kind of ghost. She said, any kind of ghost. So finally, we have in Misadventures of Butterfingers, Ghosts at Green Park. She told me where I brought Shakespeare in, Sherlock Holmes, all together in a total mishmash fun story. So she said, okay, ma'am, it's a very nice ghost. I won't ask you to write ghost stories any longer. So that is how it is. And I'm not going to write horror stories. I'm not going to write supernatural stories. I'm not going to bring in mythology. I'm not going to bring in politics, no religion, none of those things. It is another world that I have created, which is also the real world. And that is the world in which Amar and his family, friends, teachers, the town is not named. There is no name to the town, because I wanted to have a pan-Indian feel. So that's why I have not given the name, though I have given the name Green Park to the school, which subconsciously could be because Green Park Stadium is there in Kanpur. I don't know why I thought of that as the name of the school, but that could be the reason, because I love cricket and other sports. Yeah. Okay.
So actually, when she wrote this horror story, she had the empiricist, you know, the very logical teacher who was on top of, you know, was actually beyond the creative part, because she actually made it a ghost story where there are no ghosts, because it's a very scientific way of looking at, you know, you need not be afraid of ghosts, you know, that much concern she is about things that are are the priorities of so many other children's writers, where they are talking about all kinds of issues, and they believe that children need to be sensitized about all these from a very younger age. Which is really harsh, you know, why burden all these children with things which are too much for them to understand, especially concepts which are too high for them to understand. So she is a very logical writer in that sense. She will not write anything that goes against science in her books, and that's one thing that I find very commendable about her works. Yes, so would you like to have anything being changed about Amar and his gang?
No, nothing. I think only the principal might put on weight. That's it.
We made them run a marathon, right?
Exactly.
Half marathon. Oh, that is beautiful. You must look at how you've done it so well, Abhijieet. I just love.
You've written it so perfectly. It had to be.
No.
It's about this guy who's running a marathon.
This is like a mutual, what is it, admiration society. But seriously, it was, you know, you look at those pictures and the principal is running wearing shorts. There is that wonderful panel where he's running so fast that his foot is in his mouth almost. I mean, but he did it so beautifully. It's a wonderful thing. Where is that book's cover is not here, but I have the book here, which is, this is the comic that Penguin brought out, The World of Butterfingers. This is the one which has 3 stories, 100 pages. We are writing another one, 3 stories, 100 pages. We are now with page...
We are 89.
Yeah, 89. Okay. Yeah. Simultaneously, we're also doing those pages.
I just sent a page yesterday before my flight here, so we're really working on it. So meeting the deadline. And,
yeah. So you're doing all that. And this one has that marathon story, which is my favorite in this.
Mine
but
too.
yours-
Wherever
oh,
the principal is in a lot of, yeah, I enjoy that story the most.
Did you
That
actually
and
get beating in
heebie-jeebies.
the school from the principal or something?
I never, my principal was never the type I would even, go and speak to. That guy never, guy never spoke to students. He just never spoke to students. He had no idea how to speak to students. So I think there was something in it that I wanted to vent out about my least favorite teachers, in school. I had a Sanskrit teacher. I mean, I hope she's not, if this goes on YouTube, I hope she's not listening. Oh man, I was so terrified of her that even now when I draw evil characters, it's always her face that comes up. I mean, that's just me.
No, talking
There's a
about
problem about teachers. We don't know where, our faces will come up as horrendous characters.
Yeah, I mean, maths teacher, my maths teacher was also something. I mean, the ones you're scared of, they stick with you. Yeah, that's trauma. Right? This Sanskrit teacher used to take pop quiz tests, suddenly roll number 46, get up, and I'm like, I don't even know what she's going to ask me, right? That's the stuff I draw. I draw. Yeah.
Yes, talking about these evil characters, you have this very popular character, Angry Moshi. She's full of anger. And when you draw these kind of pictures, have you ever modeled it on real life characters like in your family, in your friends, your relatives, and so on? And have they been offended by you?
So this happens. I mean, I don't do it consciously, but many times people spot someone I've drawn saying, "Arey, is this that person that we know from then?" And I'm like, yeah, come to think of it, yeah, I think it does. I think it must be that character. So it's not based on anyone, but it ends up looking like someone I know.
Must be in your subconscious.
Yeah, subconscious. It's actually therapy, It's actually like venting out. So I think for good artists, anyone budding artists here, anyone who's a budding artist out here, anyone who's into sketching, illustrations, two people speaks a lot about the art scene in our country.
I went to Comic Con. I saw the huge crowd there. I mean, this is a mixed crowd.
No, but this is lovely. I think 2-3 artists that we have here, the entire key, and I'm sure you'll agree with me when I say, is observation. The more you observe, and this goes for any creative field, observation, saving the data here in this 2 TB disk drive, and using that observation is the best creative tip ever. I think nothing beats that. So coming to your question, there's always going to be some peculiar character I must have met sometime. You have a relative who has a very peculiar behavioral pattern. They might just rub their nose before they speak. Someone might just, I don't know, just pick on these things. It's easy to draw characters if you just remember them subconsciously.
After you draw them, is it a cathartic effect?
It is. A lot of times, it is cathartic. I think for us cartoonists, that's a way out for what we feel about a lot of things around us. And if people say humor in it, even better, because sarcasm is a lovely tool if used properly. And we don't laugh at ourselves, do we? I mean, in our society, we don't laugh at ourselves. We always laugh at the samne wala person.
Yeah. So it's nice to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah, you should laugh at yourself, which is why I think all these exercises, all these things I keep in mind, a little bit about my own, I might have some particular nuances I want to highlight, which I draw. So it's cathartic for sure. That's a good word to use for it, yes.
And this political correctness thing has come as a big problem.
That is a big problem. There's wokeness and political correct. Do you face any feedback like that in any book?
One book. In Baby and Dub Dub, there is a maid who is going round and round. She's on since I can't say fat, I will say she is robust, solid, healthily built, heavy, whatever. And she's running around, but in that I think I've described her as fat. And she's running and she's bobbing like a jelly on a merry-go-round. So there's a student who told me, ma'am, you shouldn't do that. You should not have described her like that. I said, it was all in good humor. You don't have to take it personally. And the one who was protesting is very thin. She's taking up cudgels for all the more healthily built people. So I said, no, I'm so sorry, but then if I cannot even, Kiran is short and stocky. So what do you do then? There are people who are built that way. You can't speak, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't. Nobody says anything about thin and tall. soon that will also become part of political correctness. Yeah.
We are the most racist of all people. Indians are the most racist
Exactly.
of all of them. We have a stereotype for every community. And yet we feel offended when someone says something about wokeness. That's the biggest, irony of it all. We are
There's
the
also
biggest
this
racist ever.
body positivity thing, you know.
Oh yeah, that apart, everything needs to be taken care of. So it's, I don't know, a little bit of fun is lost, but I think we still manage our share of chuckles some way or another.
So I have a lot of more questions to ask both of these people, but I'm sure there will be a lot of questions from the audience. So I'm throwing open the session to the audience. If you have any questions.
Hi all, I am also Abhijit.
Fist bump, man, fist bump.
I am in 9th grade in Kendriya Vidyalaya Pangod. So my question to Abhijit sir is, we have Marvel comics and DC comics in America. So whenever I read about them, I've also wondered why we don't have any Indian superheroes. We have some, but they are not that much popular. They might not be seen in many of the bookstalls and all. So my question is to you are you planning to create any superhero comics for India? Thank you, sir.
Lovely question. Thanks, Abhijit. I always wanted to say that. Marvel and DC have had a legacy for 85 years. They've made their mistakes way back and they've rectified it. They were launched during a very specific time where it was World War. So there were very specific patriotic reasons for which a lot of superheroes were created, like Superman, Spider-Man. They're all red, blue, and white. What does that stand for? American flag. Captain America is a flag on a person's body. We haven't had that kind of legacy or time given to our characters. Hence, we feel that we don't have DC and Marvel. Also, for our society, for our readership, we don't really need those because we already have our mythologies. Right? For whatever people say, we have had people in our mythology who can fly, you can lift tons of weight. They probably wanted that as imagination. I'm just saying this. We have had an entirely different bunch of characters and storylines, which is proudly Indian. So yes, superheroes are definitely required, and I think it's a matter of time. There are a few, but it also depends on how the retailers and publishers push them because they feel that the market is relatively small.
Why don't you think of Butterfingers as a superhero?
Super Butter. Why don't we make this? We can cast Abhijit in it.
You are there anyway in the book. He's the maths teacher. No, one teacher you are, right?
Huh,
History teacher.
I am a teacher in that, by the way. I am Professor Abhijit is there in the story. So coming to your question, yes, we don't have a DC Marvel, but we have a ton of other characters and storylines. I think it's a matter of time before our superheroes also come onto the scene. It's just a matter of how the retailers and publishers take it. But if once they come into the market, we would expect everyone to buy these comics. And would that happen is another question altogether.
My question is kind of about how the collaboration between the artist and the writer works. So obviously, the Khyrunnisa ma'am's writing and the narrative and the story affects how you bring these characters to life, how Abhijit sketches them, how the pictures are formed. But after 20 years of collaborating and kind of understanding how this works, does it work the other way around, where the art influences the narrative? Do you, ma'am, when you're writing the story, do you write certain scenes with the idea that, oh, Abhijit could be sketching this in a particular way? Or even before you finish the story, do you have conversations about how something can be illustrated and if that is going to be better for the story or not? Thank you.
No, unfortunately, that doesn't happen in the sense that we don't talk about the story before Abhijit gets to know. So I write the story, but what you say is true. If it is a comic, like that marathon thing, when I was writing, I always had Abhijit's drawings in mind. And I was thinking, oh, Abhijit will do justice to this. Abhijit will do justice to this man running like this, getting the smell of egg. And because he's already got egg on his face, literally. And he's running and then he comes back. And I know Abhijit will do justice to that. So if I write something funny, I am always, I do have it in mind. But when I write my novels and short story, the longer versions, then I just write them. But then because the scriptwriter who comes in finds it easier because I have a lot of dialogue in my stories. So we talk about it while it is happening, and because he gets them only after the script is done. So he works to the script, but he gets in touch with me. And then I keep getting from him, too long, text too long, text too long, edit, 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 text too long, too many people, very busy panel, take them off, put them here, put them in the earlier panel. So then we revise and we do something, and because he's the boss here.
too much text on a comic, sometimes I feel, arey, mera art dikhne raha. People can't see my art because there's too much dialogues. That's why we trim it. But I think your question makes, I mean, like the heebie-jeebies thing, like she knows that I love drawing the heebie-jeebies characters. So she made a story considering that I will be having fun drawing this one because there's heebie-jeebies in it. That's the rock band in the
It's
universe.
a music group.
So she knows that, and she has always been telling me, I'm going to make a story with the heebie-jeebies because you like it, and you're going to do these Easter eggs in it. I know it. And I did exactly that. So that's pretty much, I think, coming to your question, that's how it works.
It's a very healthy collaboration.
Yeah, it is.